And there we go. Susan Michelle, this mic is all yours.
Hi, this is Susan Michelle. I am here in Western Massachusetts with my good friend Myrna Scholar in Florida. It's so great to see you, Myrna. You look so beautiful. How are you?
Oh, yeah. I feel very well oiled. I just got a massage. Loved it. So,
Oh, that's
yeah,
so
like an
beautiful.
electric
I
machine,
love a
everything, all the
massage.
parts are working better now. Yeah, it's a good feeling, you know.
That's like one of my favorite things in the world. Second only to A Course in Miracles, but I love, love, love massages.
Yeah.
And I just want to also, I see a few other people in the room. So I just want to invite anyone to share who has something to say. Dove, Karen, Regis, Lynn. Yeah, please share, raise your hand if you have anything to say, because I love learning and teaching with other Course in Miracles students. So I am the author of Surrender to Joy, From Suicide to Serenity. Myrna is the author of Private Lessons with Jesus. They are both amazing books about teaching the transformational truth of A Course in Miracles, which we are all here to study, to learn, to embody the truth of. And I think what I'm going to do for
Yeah,
both of
hi.
us,
My
if
name is
it's
Howard
okay.
Fishman, 51240. I'm
Oh,
Doug
Dove, are you
Gibson's
speaking? I
demonstration.
hear your I
I'm
hear
calling
your
Howard
voice.
Fishman.
You said 10, 12, 40?
No, I'm sorry, 51240.
Dove, you're not
Okay,
on
so I
mute. Could
called
you?
Friday to speak to
Okay, Lynn, can you step
and
in
he
for
actually
this,
called me
please?
back, but somehow I missed the call. I have a lower back pain and I need a
Oh, God.
prescription either for someone to look at it.
Okay, that's
Okay,
all right.
okay, all right, very good.
Yeah, Dove has his microphone on and he's being heard.
Looks okay now.
He's okay, right? All
Seems
right,
to be.
okay. All right, perfect. Okay, I am gonna start out with page number 28 is a beautiful, beautiful paragraph to start out with, because we are always teaching what we need to learn and learning what we need to teach. I hear sound again.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
And it is still the
You have to,
914.
I'm going to call Liz
Yes,
Lynn
it
on
is.
my
Thank you.
phone.
Okay, perfect.
Okay,
Okay.
bye.
I'm going to call Lynn, okay?
Okay,
And see if we can clear this up.
thanks, Myrna.
Okay.
Dove, can you mute yourself?
Thank you, Regis. Yeah, I don't think he knows.
Okay, I'm not getting any answer from Lynn. Okay.
Or we can call Dove.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Want to call Doug? Do you want to call?
Yeah, I'll call Dove. I have
You call
his
Dove.
telephone number right here.
I have it. Do you want it? You want me to call him?
It's just my phone isn't working. Oh,
Oh, I
okay,
have-
there we go. He hears us now.
Oh, there he is. He hears us now. Okay.
Yeah.
He says forget it. He understands. His mic is off. Very good. Okay, fine. Okay.
Okay. All right. So to start again. Okay. So on page number 28, and I'm having problems with my phone too. I wonder if something's in the air. But it says here on page 28, I am here only to be truly helpful. I am here to represent him who sent me. I do not have to worry about what to say or what to do, because he who sent me will direct me. I am content to be wherever he wishes, knowing he goes there with me. I will be healed as I let him teach me to heal. So what that paragraph is all about is about surrendering our will with a small w to his will with a capital W. And, I will say that the world is full of challenges. I mean, it really is. Even what happened just now, I'm not blaming anyone, but we had to figure out a solution on how to mute Dove because he didn't know he was on speaker. Yeah, he didn't mean to be on speaker. My phone actually completely broke down this afternoon. I was trying to call like Myrna to confirm, our talk today here on Pal Talk. I had to call the rental car place. I had to call my dentist and my phone wasn't working. So my point here is we can't control the world. The world just is what it is. But I think what we can do is realize that, our one and only solution to all of these petty problems is just staying connected to source energy, because the Course in Miracles is really what feeds my soul. I mean, I was listening again to A Course Made Simple by Alan Cohen this morning on the treadmill. I was listening to Course in Miracles text on Audible while I was driving, and to just realize that all these petty problems, ultimately, they're all going to get resolved. They're all going to dissipate. And we all can connect to source energy whenever we choose to. I mean, we really just need to realize that these petty little problems don't matter that much, right, Myrna?
Yeah, I like what you're saying. These little things come up, they just, there are things that we can't control, things in the world that are just part of our everyday life. And this is what it is. There's nothing we really have control over in that respect. When you mentioned that all these things are going wrong, I couldn't help thinking of my daughter. Yesterday was Mother's Day, and we got together with her, and my grandchildren were in, and she wasn't herself. She was upset about something. I know she was upset. As it turns out, her son is marrying a lovely, lovely Indian girl. But the culture is different from ours, and her family, she finds out now, wants to have the wedding in India. And, it's like, well, what do? I don't want to go to India. I'm not ready to go to India for my son's wedding. And she was really getting caught up in this. And to me, it was, whatever it is, you go or you don't go, you don't have to stress about it now. They're talking about, a wedding in India, but you don't really know that, what is going to transpire. And it's really, as the grandmother, I'm the grandmother of the person who wants to marry this Indian, who's going to marry her. She's lovely. We're all crazy about her. But the feeling was, I never gave it a second thought. Am I going to go to India for the wedding? Probably not, but I may. I don't know. It didn't seem to be anything that I had to deal with now. And I'm glad I got to that point where things come up and you just have to let them, you have to let everything that you don't agree with in the world that's coming up, that's really causing a glitch in your day. If you allow it to uproot you and just not let it go, then that's what it'll have. It'll have that effect. If you kind of just stay with it, realizing that things are going to happen, and become aware of that. I've become much better at that, really. I've become great at that. I was in that place years ago when things would disrupt my day very easily. a bad thought, something that I couldn't control, maybe a skirmish with somebody. And you think that, well, when this is happening, that's going to stop, but this doesn't stop. It's like a thing that just keeps churning on and on and on, because things are always going to happen that we have no control over. So it's about, what do we hear? You just read this wonderful paragraph on page 28, and I was looking at it, and I always read it with you, and I read it with you, look at it, and I like the sound of it. But now that I was kind of dissecting it a little bit, very interesting. The first line is, I am here only to be truly helpful. This is what we're here to be. This is telling me that my only function in the world is to be helpful. This is why, this is the role that I'm given to play by God. I am here to represent him who sent me. Well, God sent me. God sent me to fulfill my role. I am here to work on what God's plan is for me, to be helpful. And then the third line, I do not have to worry about what to say or what to do, because he who sent me will direct me. Well, right now we're speaking, we're talking, things are coming up. I am not at all concerned about what we're going to talk about, because this tells me right here that whatever I'm supposed to talk about, I will talk about, because he who sent me will tell me what to say. So here we're discussing what's going on with us, and that's what we're truly directed to say. Everything that we're saying is supposed to be used as a lesson that we need to learn in order to understand what our true purpose is. I am content to be wherever he wishes, knowing he goes there with me. Well, this is the greatest thing in the world, because it's faith, having true faith that there's nothing to worry about when he is with us, knowing that he goes there with us. What is there to worry about? Having the truth, the faith within that is so connected to that recognition, and there's no disputing that. It's the truth, and the truth is a fact. It's a fact that he goes with me wherever I go. So there's nothing to worry about. And the very last line is, I will be healed and let him teach me to heal. And that's what healing is all about. If we can really live this paragraph as it is, we don't even have to go into the Course in Miracles anymore at all. There's nothing left for us, for it to teach us. This teaches us everything that we need to know in this one paragraph. It's all about faith. It's all about love. It's about forgiveness. It's about our role. And these are the truths that the Course wants us to learn, because the truth of A Course in Miracles is all about forgiveness. So if we now understand that we're truly here to forgive, that's what we have to do, and forgive truly and not just superficially, which is what today's lesson is about. But we can get into that too, lesson 134. Right, Susan?
That's right, Myrna. That's absolutely right. Very well said. I was riding along the highway, listening to Course in Miracles on Audible this morning, and I saw a billboard that said, are you going to heaven or hell? Call to find out. And I thought, I can call this number and find out if I'm going to heaven or hell. Very interesting. It's probably put up by a traditional Christian church, I assume. But I thought, in terms of Course in Miracles, what is heaven? Heaven is when I'm connected to source energy and I am trusting in the divine guidance of the Holy Spirit. Heaven is reality. Heaven is the state of mind where I trust that I am a part of a entity that is greater than myself, but that I am a part of. And it's heaven is peace of mind. Hell is what's manifest on this earthly plane right now. Hell is the ego. Hell is when I'm stressed out. Hell is when I'm filled with anxiety. There is no heaven or hell in the afterlife. It's as A Course in Miracles says, there is no time. We are taking a journey in these earthly bodies now to learn certain lessons that our soul needs to learn. But the truth is, our soul is safe at home with God in heaven right here, right now. And the whole crux of A Course in Miracles is it's teaching us to remember that. So what Jesus writes on the next page, we just read page number 28. I am here only to be truly helpful. What he writes on the very next page, 29, and I have certain lines highlighted. Whenever you are afraid, it is a sure sign that you have allowed your mind to miscreate and have not allowed me to guide it. So he says that the correction of fear is my responsibility. Jesus, when I am fearful of anything, I am not plugged into God. I am not plugged into the God socket. I am not trusting source energy. So whenever I'm afraid, it's I have given control mistakenly to my ego. Now, if I pray to God, please don't let me be scared, Jesus is saying that he can't take away my fear because he has given us free will. So we can choose to trust in God's divine strength, or we can choose to be fearful. So God can't take away our fear, but we can eradicate it whenever we want to. I thought that was very interesting. He says here in the next paragraph, the correction of fear is your responsibility. It's not real, but I can choose to tap into love, or I can choose to connect with the fear. It's like, it's up to me. And the more often I choose to connect with love, the stronger I become, the more empowered I become, the greater my connection to God is. And I can choose that at any time I want. The correction of fear is your responsibility. Okay, when you ask for release from fear, you were implying that it is not. So when I ask God for release from fear, I'm implying that it's not my responsibility, right? Isn't that what A Course in Miracles is saying? I mean, this is kind of interesting. You should ask instead for help in the conditions that have brought the fear about. So what are those conditions that allow this fear to come to the surface? I should ask for help in the conditions that have brought the fear about. These conditions always entail a willingness to be separate. Okay, so I think that I'm separate from God. And the truth is, I am not separate from God. I am a part of God, and I don't ever need to be fearful. I don't need to be fearful at all. He says, at that level, you can help it. You are much too tolerant of mind wandering and are passively condoning your mind's miscreations. So it's important to be aware of what our thoughts are. It's important. All thought creates form on some level. All thinking creates form on some level. It's important to be aware of what we're thinking, because we are creating our reality at each and every moment. And it is a discipline. It is a mental discipline that I can choose to allow God to guide my life. And when I'm allowing God to guide my life, I'm tapping into the power of love. And when I'm tapping into the power of love, it's about trust, it's about flow, and it's about knowing that God always has my back. It's about knowing that I am part of a power greater than me, but that I'm a part of. God is the ocean and I'm a wave, but the power of the ocean is available to me at each and every moment. God is always there. God loves me unconditionally. And my role on this earthly plane is to be a miracle worker. And what's a miracle worker? A miracle worker is a state of mind. It's a place where we remember that we have everything that we could possibly need within us. And our only real desire is to share that love with our brother. Because when we can share that love with our brother, we realize how much we have. You know, A Course in Miracles says that we need each other in order to make our way back to heaven. So when I am giving, when I'm extending God's love to my brother, I'm remembering how much love I have within me to give, but it's not my love, it's God's love. I was born to be a channel to extend his love to the world, and to just breathe and remember that truth is the most empowering place to reside in. And that's what A Course in Miracles is teaching us to do. Alan Cohen, again, I'm listening to the basics of A Course in Miracles, I think for the fifth time, and he was relaying this story in the beginning of that book about a Course in Miracles student who lived in Brooklyn, New York, and he was getting his apartment broken into. A thief was breaking into his apartment, and all of a sudden, this Course in Miracles student saw the thief, and the thief started to run away. And he said to the thief, he says, "Don't run." He says, come here, I can help you." And he says, "Why are you breaking into my house? Is something wrong?" And the thief said, "Well, I lost my job. I can't pay my rent. My girlfriend left me. I don't know what to do." And then the Course in Miracles student says, "Well, whenever you want to come over to my house and my apartment and talk, I'd be more than happy to talk to you." So he took this fear-based situation and he just turned it around, and he started extending God's love to the thief. It sounds like a very interesting story. It seems like a negative incident could have turned into a miracle, but these opportunities are available to us all the time, right, Myrna?
Yeah, I love what you just said. I love what you spoke about, because you really, what you said was, and the way you said it, and the way that it was received, is that you are living God's purpose. You absolutely are. Just in what you're saying indicates that you're living, the purpose, your purpose, God's purpose for you. And I was thinking that how could anybody ever be fearful having that wisdom, knowing that's true, knowing it, you speaking it absolutely emphatically because it's true. Then how could there be anything to be afraid of? Nothing, if that's the case. Why would God give us a purpose and tell us to live it, and then not care if we're hurting, or not care if we are not giving ourselves the love that we deserve? It's love, and we have to realize that we're feeling it. It's part of who, it's who we are. The love aspect comes through. And now you talk about, well, what is love? Well, the Course in Miracles makes it very simple, because if you're fearful, you're not loving. Anything that is not giving you peace is not love. And if you can recognize that love only is all you really need to experience is love, because that's what you're given to feel, then it does eradicate all the incidentals that come up during the day. They seem more, to be minimal, as opposed to catastrophic, that we sometimes see it as. So I thought that was really so interesting that, of course you're loved. Of course, look at the way you're speaking. Of course you're loved and protected and guided, and we don't have to do a thing. We just have to recognize that our guide will teach us what we need to do, where we need to go, what we need to say, and how we need to feel. And it was really so good. Today's lesson actually is really the perfect lesson from what we're talking about, because I remember this lesson from when I first picked up the Course in Miracles in 1990. I remembered it because I remembered when I started reading the Course in Miracles, became aware of the Course in Miracles. I knew that I was in a very unforgiving state of mind. I was angry at people, and I really saw through the Course in Miracles that there's so much about forgiveness that it seems to imply that everything is really based on forgiveness. And so I kind of, and what the reason that I really remembered this lesson well, I don't even have to look at it because all I do is glance at it and I know the lesson very well, that when we forgive, we think that it's a sacrifice because we think that we're doing something that is that we're sort of placating the other person, that we are more or less forgiving, we're sacrificing. By forgiving a person who's wretched, we are sacrificing by our forgiveness. The Course in this lesson makes us see that that's not what forgiveness is at all. The truth is, you can forgive it if you understand that he never really did what we convict him of doing. The person that we're angry at never committed the sin that we are perceiving. And therefore, if we once we get that, once we see him as sinless, just as we are sinless, then it's so much easier to forgive. Forgiveness comes so naturally because then we can look at the person without judgment, and then the forgiveness aspect comes through. And this is what the Course is really giving us to learn more than anything. So forgiveness is a very important product of A Course in Miracles. Here, I'll just read just one line that jumps out at me. The twisted view of what forgiveness means is easily corrected when you can accept the fact that pardon is not asked for what is true. It must be limited to what is false. It is irrelevant to everything except illusions. Well, what it's saying is that we're really believing what is false when we forgive somebody without the recognition that the person is really truly guiltless. So that unless you can see it that way, we're just forgiving an illusion, the illusion of the person, and that's hardly forgiveness, and that's hardly peace, right, Susan?
Right, Myrna. You know what came to my mind as you were talking about that, forgiveness does erase the mistake entirely. It really is about knowing that it never happened. If it was negative, it's an illusion. And again, my husband and I were avid movie watchers. Every night for an hour or two before bed, I think we watched some movie. And last night, what we watched was On the Line, a 2022 movie with Mel Gibson as the lead actor. And I do tend to give away the movies when I relate them to Course in Miracles, but I can't help but relate this to Course in Miracles. So Mel Gibson played a newscast, radio caster, I should say, like a radio talk show host. And his show went on every night at midnight is when he began. And he played this character where he had this real kind of snide sense of humor. He would put down other people in his surroundings, like he had a real hard edge to him. So what happened was he got a caller who proceeded to kind of bribe Mel Gibson, and he told Mel Gibson that he had broken into his house, and he had his wife and his daughter at gunpoint, and it was this elaborate fear-based episode where guns were going off. The wife and the daughter was held at gunpoint. The person on the radio, the guest on the radio, wanted Mel Gibson to jump off the roof. And again, I mean, it really did have me at the edge of my seat. And then it showed all these different people at the radio show being killed, and even though I thought the whole thing was based on fear, it had my attention the whole time. And then, okay, now this is the Course in Miracles part, at the very end, when this big bomb was supposed to explode and the whole building was supposed to go up in flames, nothing happened. And everybody just started laughing hysterically, because it was all a hoax. Okay, spoiler alert, I just gave away the movie, but I just thought that's such a great point. I mean, think of it, with all these fear-based things going on day in, day out. I mean, what if we could just let it go and laugh them all away, because it's not real? Because if it's negative, it's an illusion. I mean, the Course in Miracles says the separation occurred when the Son of God forgot to laugh. Now, again, I mean, I'm not saying we can really laugh a war away, but what I am saying is the negative stuff, I mean, it's not real. We don't need to take it so seriously. We can know as Course in Miracles students that the only thing that's real is the love. And we can just focus on that and laugh more often and cry less often, because we're more closely connected to our Creator when our mind is at peace and when we are joyful. So just, I mean, even what happened today, my phone is not working, my car, actually, I got into an accident a week and a half ago, and I have no mirror on my right side. I mean, there's a lot of little things. I'm not happy with my job. I need a new job, or I would like a new job. I mean, there's a lot of like little things, little grievances, little concerns. However, just to trust that it's everything is perfect right here, right now, and there's no reason for anxiety. There's no reason for fear. And again, just in that movie last night, when the audience thought the building was gonna blow up, it didn't blow up, and everyone just started laughing hysterically, and all the people who had been killed just kind of came back to life, because they had never been killed at all, because it was all a hoax. That's a Course in Miracles way to see life. I mean, what A Course in Miracles is saying too is even the people that have been killed. I mean, yes, the body dies, but the soul doesn't die. The soul is safe at home with God in heaven all the time, and just to remember that, just to know that it's just such a peaceful place to reside in. And when we can connect to the peace and the power of God, that's when we can be of the greatest service to the world, because to get hung up on the pain and to start fighting against what's going on in the world really serves no purpose. But to know that we are safe, to know that we are loved, that's how we can really make a difference in the world. I saw another billboard, speaking of billboards on the highway, be the change you want to see in the world. So if if we want to see peace in the world, what we need to do is we need to come from a peaceful mindset. That's how we're going to make the difference. Right, Myrna?
That's what it's all about. Feeling peaceful, and that's when we see the difference. We're not going to change anything if we keep turning on the news and get involved with what's happening in the world. Yes, there is a lot going on in the world, but if we really get into the dynamics of it and the horrors and everything else that's shown each and every day, and we see it as real. It's real, but only, it's hard to explain how I feel about that. I was listening to a college professor. Let me use this example. And I thought he was talking about what's going on the college campuses and everything that's, all the hatred. And so he's a professor, and he decided to have a meeting with students. And the students were really, they were giving their input, and it was a very nice discussion with these students. But one student at the end stood up and said, well, I want to tell you something, or I want to ask you something. Don't you see that Israel is in a apartheid state? Don't you see that Israel, they're a bunch of murderers, killers, thieves, they're not a democracy? Don't you see that it's a terrible country? And so he said to the student, I want to ask you a question. Why did you kill your grandmother? And the student was taken aback. He said, what are you talking about? He said, I'm asking you again, why did you kill your grandmother? So he said, well, what are you talking about? And he repeated it again. Just answer my question. I'm asking you why you killed your grandmother. And then the student started to get very uneasy. He said, I'm getting very uneasy about this. And he said, why? He said, because you're accusing me of something I never did. And he said, well, that's your answer. Okay, so, I thought that was such an interesting development, an interesting exchange between, that, people make these accusations just because of what they hear, because of what they think they're seeing, because of what they're picking up bits and pieces. And most people really don't even know what they're talking about when they're speaking, from an illusory point of view, from things, it's all perception. Everything that's going on in the world are people's perceptions of what is happening when it's not reality. It really, it just kind of makes you see that there are so many thousands, hundreds of thousands of people living in the illusion. And yet it'll take a certain segment of the population to change the world. Okay, you don't have to, I don't think you have to really rise up in numbers. You just have to soulfully recognize that, not to judge, to love, and to extend that love. And love is a very powerful emotion. I mean, love is all there is, because unless you can love unconditionally, it really isn't love. And learning to love is something that I think we have to really put our mind to, because it's very easy to forgive an illusion when something is true, is an illusion. I mean, there's no question about that, because everybody has a different perception of something. So unless everybody is on the same page, recognizing and being together as one consciousness, which is the expression of love, every separation, which is what's going on right now, everything seems to be, we all seem to be living, in a world of separation. But my belief, my feeling, my belief, my faith is that that we will perceive a more peaceful world if we extend it and connect with that love. How do you see that, Susan?
When we're coming from a place of fear or anxiety or stress, we're not seeing clearly. So coming from a place of love is the only way to be able to see things clearly, see things in perspective. You know, it's the love, it's the peace that gives us clarity on any situation. I mean, lesson 134, you know, I still think when you can really digest, embody, own any of the sections of A Course in Miracles, you really just gain knowledge of the whole text, because it's just telling us the same thing over and over in different words. You know, it's about letting go of the fear, living the love. Lesson 134 says, let me perceive forgiveness as it is. So again, it's not about like seeing the wrong of the other person and then making the decision to overlook it because I'm the better person, because I'm the superior one. It's about erasing the mistake entirely and seeing that it never happened. And once we can truly forgive our brother, we're able to forgive ourselves, because anything that our brother did to us is something within us that has not yet been healed. You know, like if a friend of mine, let's say, abandoned me, which happened, that is a core pain point in me. So she triggered that old wound in me. That's why it hurt so badly. But once I can forgive her, I can forgive me. If she abandoned me, but I didn't have a fear of abandonment, it probably wouldn't have hurt me in the first place. So as I forgive my brother, I'm forgiving myself. As I forgive my brother, I'm just releasing pain point within my own unconscious mind that needs to be released. And Karen has her hand up. I'd love to hear what you have to say, Karen.
Hey, Karen. Hi.
Hi, ladies.
Hi, Karen. Hi.
This is a great discussion, and I love everything that you're sharing. And on the forgiveness thing, I like what you said about coming from a place of love. And, you know, I'm just going to share an experience. I had a really hard time coming from a place of love with someone I was really angry with. I was very, very angry at this person. And my sister said, she said, Karen, because I talked to my sister about it, she said, Karen, you have to come from a place of love. And I'm like, I can't come from a place of love right now. This person, like, I really felt like they were wrong, and I was angry, and, you know, nothing could change my mind. And so what I realized, and this happened years ago. This isn't something really recent, but it comes up for me every time I remember it when we talk about coming from a place of love. What I learned in the Course and what the Course has taught me is that it has nothing to do with the other person ever. The person, there's nothing to forgive, because the only thing that happened was that I made a decision to listen to my attack thoughts. My attack thoughts weren't the truth, but I chose to listen to them and believe them, even though they weren't true. And I was blaming someone for something that they didn't even do. You know, and that's something that took me a while to really get there. Trust me, took years, but that's what it is for me. It's coming from a place of love. For me means, you know, recognizing that I am doing this to myself. This is coming from me. It's not anything outside of me. And just to get back to the piece you're talking about, I love what Myrna shared about, you know, I don't have to make a decision right now, you know, about anything. She was talking about her grandson's, I think of his grandson's wedding. He's marrying an Indian girl. They want to get married in India, right? Well, my nephew's going through the same thing. He wants to get married in Italy. Well, I'm not going. I'm not going. I just can't go to Italy right now. And the thing that for me is, number one, you're right. I don't have to make the decision now. And number one, I don't have to people please anyone. Okay. I don't have to do this for anyone. I don't have to feel guilt about it. And all I have to do is be at peace. So they're the things I remember. There's no people pleasing. There's nothing to feel guilty about. And all I have to do is, am I at peace with this decision? So I really loved what you shared about that, because it's always about being at peace and recognizing that I am always doing this to myself.
Yes. Well, when you say that, doing it to myself, the Course in Miracles tells us that, we attack ourselves. And it took me a long time, years, to realize that as well, that when we're mad at somebody else, it's an inward feeling of, that we want to make it known, that, that righteous feeling that we have. But who's feeling it except us? It's not a good feeling. And in fact, the Course in Miracles maybe, says that, maybe not in those words, but that you think you're feeling wonderful when you're attacking somebody. But you're not. Your attack is never wonderful. And it took me a long time to realize that. And in fact, even now, I've got myself into the habit. And for a long time, I've been able to recognize as soon as an attack thought comes into my mind, it might have been something that happened a long time ago. It might have been something that's happening, that happened recently. But as soon as an attack thought should come into my mind, I'll say, Jesus, I just attacked myself, didn't I? Didn't I? And then, of course, I get agreement about that, because it's true, I did, and I catch myself. And when you can catch yourself enough of the time, then you don't get those attack thoughts anymore. The ego says, okay, she's not going to respond to this anyway, so maybe I should just take another angle, let me find something else to upset her with. And so, that part of it is really gone. So you've more or less healed that part of it, the attack part, recognizing no matter what it is, that it's you yourself that's being hurt by that. And when you stop those attack thoughts, you feel so much healthier inside, stronger. You're not carrying any baggage around. You're free of that. I feel it. I feel an inward health inside of me. I feel a strength. I feel that I'm strong inside. I guess that's the phrase. So I love that, Karen. Yes. And yeah. Susan?
Yeah, well, I love what Karen said. I love what Myrna said. God has one son, and we are all part of that same sonship. So when we're attacking our brother, we're attacking ourselves. When we're loving our brother, we're loving ourselves. And I mean, as Karen said too, about forgiveness, like it's never ever about the other person. All they did, Eleanor Roosevelt says, no one can make you feel inferior without your consent. No one can make you feel any way at all without your consent. Like, no one can hurt us unless there's something within our unconscious mind that has not yet been fully healed. Like if somebody says to me, "Oh, you're fat," and I don't care, it's not going to bother me. But if someone says to me, "Oh, you look fat," and that's like a sensitive issue for me, well, then it is going to bother me, you know? It's just nobody has the power to hurt us unless there's something within us that has not yet been healed. And from that aspect, the person is our savior, because what they're doing, by their attack, their perceived attack, is bringing something up within me that needs to be healed. So that's why this person that is triggering me is my teacher. Like the woman that I work for right now, she triggers me. And is she my teacher? Of course she is. You know, of course she is, because she's bringing to the surface what I need to take a look at in order for healing to occur. You know, ultimately, it's all good. This is one of my favorite paragraphs from A Course in Miracles, you know, that I read almost every week that I talk, because I love it so much. The escape from darkness involves two stages. First, the recognition that darkness cannot hide. This step usually entails fear. It's like we always, well, at least I do. I try to appear perfect on the outside. I try to appear together on the outside. I try to really look, you know, like I have my life under control. And I think most of us do, at least a lot of the time. I mean, we're not proud of our imperfections. We're not proud of our vulnerability. But what God is saying in the Course in Miracles is we need to keep it real. We need to allow our vulnerabilities to surface so God and the Holy Spirit can help them to heal. So the escape from darkness involves two stages. First, the recognition that darkness cannot hide. This step usually entails fear. Second, the recognition that there is nothing you want to hide, even if you could. This step brings escape from fear. When you have become willing to hide nothing, you will not only be willing to enter into communion, but will also understand peace and joy. So when we go through these phases where somebody appears to hurt us, somebody appears to trigger us, all they're doing is they're bringing some unhealed wound to the surface. And once we can take a look at it, we can release it to the Holy Spirit, and it's a way of clearing our channel. It's a way of getting closer to God. It's a way of getting closer to that place of unconditional love when we allow our insecurities to come to the surface. So when we can forgive that person that triggered us, what we're actually doing is we're forgiving ourselves. And that's how healing occurs. So when I can forgive this person at work, when I can forgive my friend who abandoned me, or she appeared to abandon me, when I can forgive, you know, family members who are very judgmental, you know, or who I see as being very judgmental. When I can forgive my family member for being judgmental, I'm forgiving that part of myself, because I can be very judgmental. So as I forgive the judgment in someone else, I'm forgiving the judgment in myself. And when I forgive the judgment in myself, I'm releasing the judgment. So we're not forgiving for the other person. We're forgiving for ourselves. We're forgiving so we can get closer to God. We're forgiving so we can get closer to heaven. You know, and I think part of our journey in this earthly classroom is just, again, allowing those pain points to surface, but only so we can forgive them, only so we can release them, you know. And on the other side of forgiveness, there's so much joy, there's so much peace, there's so much personal empowerment, because we're connecting to source energy on to such a greater extent, because we need to realize that we are one with God. You know, we are one with God, and all the power that God has, which is based on unconditional love, is available to us anytime we choose to tap into it. And that's exciting, you know. I mean, A Course in Miracles tells us that there's a part of us that's afraid of this amazing force, that's afraid of this amazing power. Marianne Williamson says in her deepest fear poem, you know, we're more afraid of the light than we are of the darkness. The darkness is what we know. The darkness is how we live. The ego is very familiar to us, but the light, you know, that's can be a little intimidating, but that is our destiny. And that's what God wants for us. God's will for us is perfect happiness. It says that time and time again in A Course in Miracles. Right, Myrna?
Yeah, I like what you said when you just said that when we forgive somebody else, we forgive ourselves. And I really related to that because what I thought then was that when we forgive somebody else, to forgive ourselves is to recognize that we're not feeling that pain of attack, that pain of not feeling peaceful. We're not feeling that, and what I've learned is the difference between peace and pain. You know, I've learned to understand that there is a huge difference, and that I only want to be in the place that I don't want to get that feeling. I don't want to have that feeling of attack, whether it comes from the illusion of somebody else's attack of us, whatever it may be. I want to feel peaceful, and I want to do whatever it takes to feel peaceful. And I know what it takes to feel peaceful. I know how to jump right in to the peaceful place when I'm feeling, when I'm not feeling it. I know the difference right away. I see myself not in that place of peace. And what will I do? I'll recite an illusion. I'll pick something, I'll come to terms with the teaching of A Course in Miracles. Whatever you pick up at that moment that is of love, like the Course in Miracles, anything that will give you, sustain the love that you really need to feel at that moment, will take you away from the pain. And before you know it, many times I forget what I was even fearful about, or what I was even attacking myself about. So the idea is to recognize it instantly and to get into the habit. And I think that the Course in Miracles does give us that understanding that it's a book of psychology. It's a mind training as well. You know, it's a training of the mind, and while we're teaching ourselves to train the mind, we're also feeling the love that's coming from it.
Mm.
And the Course in Miracles is amazing because it gives us both. It gives us a book of psychology, and it also gives us the love that's coming through that. That's what's so extraordinary about it. I don't know, it's really a wonderful way to recognize our Father's love through A Course in Miracles. Yeah.
Karen wrote in the chat room, there is no hierarchy of illusions. They are all the same and are all equally forgivable. I mean, I love what you just said, Myrna. You're so wise. You're so clear. I mean, what came to my mind is the Holy Spirit, when I'm in my right mind, does not see my ego, because the ego is an illusion, right? So the Holy Spirit doesn't see the ego. And then when I'm in sync with my ego, I can't feel the Holy Spirit. Like, one side does not know the other side at all, but the love is all that is real. You see? But when I'm in that place of anxiety, when I'm in that place of stress, when I'm blocking God, you know, when I'm in that illusory state, I just can't remember who I really am. But then on the other side, when I'm in that place of empowerment, and I'm connected to the truth of who I am, well, then the ego seems so distant. So our goal as Course in Miracles student is to stay connected to the power of love as often as possible. And it really does, I think, have to start from within. You know, it really does have to start with loving ourselves. And it's just such a miraculous place to reside in when we can tap into that place of unconditional love. You know, I was thinking back about the times in my life when I'm the most connected to joy, it's just so beautiful. I mean, and they're not big times. They're not like, the moment I said I do on my wedding day, or the moment I got this great job, the most miraculous times. I think sometimes they're just little times. I mean, what came to mind is, I remember once I was riding on the train from New York City to New Jersey, and I've gone through so much with my teeth over the past few years. And I had one of my front teeth missing, and I was just kind of listening to some music on my Bluetooth, on my headphones or whatever. And then I saw this little girl across from me on the train, and she kind of was looking to me as I was like leaning my head back and forth, bopping back and forth to the music. And I think I was smiling, and I didn't realize that I was smiling with a toothless grin. And then she started smiling, and she had a toothless grin, not because she was a little girl, and losing your teeth is part of childhood, So I'm smiling with a toothless grin. This little 3-year-old girl or 4-year-old girl is smiling at me with a toothless grin, and kind of the music is feeding my soul. And it's just these little times when we're in sync with the power of peace, love, joy, and happiness, that are the most impactful, and they're available to us at each and every moment. So
But Karen wrote, all attack is self-attack. It comes from a decision not to be what you are. Look at that. It's a decision not to be what we are. What are we? The love. And it's a decision not to love. So we want to make the decision to love and be loved.
thank you. And it is now 4:00. I love you, Myrna, and I love you all here. Thank you so much, Karen.
I say hi to Regis. Hi, Regis.
Yeah, I love
He's with us.
hearing what Regis has to say.
Yes.
Thank you. As A Course in Miracles says, nothing real can be threatened, nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. And what that means is the only thing that's real is the love. So I loved our time together as always. And I will now return the microphone to Lynn.
Thank you so much, Myrna and Susan. What a